one of the real satisfying things on the road that I saw was when people would really like step out and just use what they're really gifted at to get the boys through the next part of the trip. Like for example, one situation, Pensy, Glenn hopped out of the car. We're in the middle of the Nullarbor. We had probably 6 or 7 hours to get to the break before sunrise. Cyclops was going to be potentially pumping, and we were just thinking, wow, we've got to get there. We just ran out of petrol though. We ended up getting out the hose from the back of the car and pulling up next to the other four-wheel drive, and out Glenn gets just like his bed head and just all pumped up to siphon some petrol so we could get to that next stage in the trip. And it was just cool how he fully took one for the team and just got next to the petrol and just started sucking petrol up through his throat and just diesel stuff going everywhere all over him, and he's just like, yeah boys, we're gonna get there. It was sick. And there's different situations like that all the time, and it was just sick how like the boys got together and just realised what they're good at and who could be of good leadership quality in different times. And it sounds like, you know, it sounds all serious and stuff, but like it's pretty important when you got 6 dudes travelling for 3 months that people realise their gifts and realise what's the truth and what's not, and all this stuff's pretty serious stuff, but it's the road, you know. We've all got our own issues, but we can all give them to God at the same time, and that's what I felt like happened on the road, which really, really satisfied me, and that's all I can ask for of the road project.
Streets outside your window, people staring, they know you've been broken, repeatedly reminded by the looks on their faces. Ignore them tonight, it'll be alright.
So another situation. We were surfing 10, 12 foot Cyclops. There's little Lukey with all these gung-ho feistiness chilling on the ski with his camera in his hand. He had no housing for it. And he was chilling on the ski and it was anchored right in front of like 12 foot Cyclops, and every time I'd get a wave I'd paddle out past it. And he's like, Brendo, the ski's getting real wobbly. I don't know what's going on, but every time a big wave comes, I'm just trying to stay stable, but I almost fall off every time. I'm thinking, what's wrong, Lukey? Like, it's all good, man. We're just getting waves and you can shoot photos. And he said, oh, okay. And I went back out and I got this like real heavy barrel and I was pretty happy. And then I just come back up and decided to just chill next to Lukey, and he said, yeah, well, let's go, Brendo, like, let's go. And I was like, okay. And then I decided, oh, I'll go down and get the anchor, swum down and come back up. We're all good. Let's start it up and head in. And he went to start it up and the jet ski didn't start. And then Bryce came along. I think it was Bryce. He put his arms down in near the engine. The sun plugs went in. The whole engine was just full of water. I was thinking, oh wow. Here we go. All the boys started to get round the jet ski and we had about 1.5 k's to kick the ski in. Harry started freaking out about sharks. Brandon Foster's just chilled as always, just like, yeah bro, there's no worries bro. B-Star's freaking out. 16 grand's worth of equipment just sinking at the bottom of Australia. And I decided to go ahead, paddle ahead and go run for help. I climbed this headland, ran over to this ab station and went to get some help. By that time the boys had kicked it away in and Bryce was freaking and all the boys are just in pieces, just going wow. We were just in the middle of nowhere, the ski was sinking and everyone was freaking out. It's amazing, like Brandon Foster was so chilled the whole time. He was kind of like a full-on leader. He just like, yeah bro, you should like be thankful for the situation bro, rather than like freaking out like some of us. But anyway, it's just interesting how everyone handled the situation.
Oh, darkness filled the sky and closed it was
We're driving through Western Australia. One night we seen a bonfire in a paddock. We decided to try and hunt down whose paddock it was, and it'd be cool to chill by a bonfire, we're thinking, and ended up finding the neighbours and knocking on their doors, and they said, well, if you guys want a place to stay, like, I don't mind if you sleep in the aeroplane hangar. I was like, why the aeroplane hangar? So like, yeah boys, I walked back to the car and it's like, boys, these guys said that we can stay in the aeroplane hangar because we need kind of shelter and somewhere out of the wind. So we went and chilled in the aeroplane hangar, set up the car headlights and put our sleeping bags down and our little roll mat. 3 weeks later, we were kind of thinking, wow, how cool it'd be if we got in the airplanes, went up in the air, and you know, they seem like really like good friends, these people, you know, like they're letting us stay in their airplane hangar. Maybe they'll like be keen to take us on an airplane trip. And I gave him a call and he said, yeah, I'd love to do that for you, no worries. I was like, okay, sweet. We cruised down there, spent about 4 hours in the aeroplane, cruising around, taking photos and getting footage and just flying around the coast of WA. It was a pretty special experience. Didn't really expect that when we were just trying to have a sleep somewhere. Ended up 2 weeks later flying in a plane.
I, Luke Axisa, officially declare myself bankrupt and are not willing to pay for any of this. You're all morons. Me too.
We had this crazy idea, like the swell was going to be pumping the next day, and we couldn't actually get all our stuff around to where we're going to camp. Well, I don't know what we were thinking, but we were like, yes, let's do it. So we chucked everything we're going to take out there in 2 4-wheel drives, and I volunteered to drive because, you know, everyone else wouldn't have made it.
I'll set the scene. We just launched the boat. There was about 15-20 minutes of sunlight to go. About 150 kilometres from any nearest towns. Basically at the bottom of Australia. It was deep, dark ocean.
So Brendo and Matic were going out in the boat. Matic was not happy, eh? He did not want to go. I remember the look on his face. He was like, nah, you can't make me go. I don't want to go. I can't go. I don't want to go. It was just, yeah, it was pretty funny.
Me and Ryan Matic were just chilling. It was a 5.4 metre boat. We lost the guys on the jet ski. We waited until pitch black. Couldn't see them anywhere. We had about 30 kilometres of coast to travel with about 50 islands all around us. We had a depth meter which turned off and on every now and then, and we had about a tank and a half of petrol. We could see about 8 metres in front of the boat. The situation was so hectic. We just started praying, said, well, what's up Lord, let's do this. And we just trusted that He'd help us the whole time. So we're putting along, the depth meter turning on and off every now and then, and we sort of got a little situation going on. We had a torch. Ryan Matic was watching the depth meter. Every time it got below 20 metres, he'd let me know. He'd say, stop, stop, stop. And then I'd stop, we'd look around, and then finally see like white in the distance, a big whitewash just rumble along in the ocean. We're just sitting next to a bombie and we'd have to go around it. Just kept on putting along and then stop, stop, stop. Same situation, just look where we are and there'd be a bombie right in front of us. Just go around it again. It's pitch black. All we could see was like 8 metres in front of us and a really faded sort of silhouette of the hills in the distance. We were at sea, in the middle of nowhere. I'd now lost my orientation. I didn't know what was going on, didn't know which way was what in my mind, and I was just thinking, God, like, I trust You're going to help us here. I don't know where the next bombie is. I don't really know where we are. I don't know where we're trying to get to, but I knew that we needed to find shelter. It was about 15, 20-foot waves all around us. Ryan was getting really quiet. We're obviously both in a hectic situation, but as funny and as hard as it might be to understand, we ended up just putting towards like these stars that were shaped like a crucifix. We were praying about it, and that's what God gave us, just said go towards those stars, and we're thinking, okay, let's do it. My mind was actually telling me that was the wrong direction to go. It was the wrong way to get to where we wanted to go. But then God was saying go that way, and I was like, okay, let's do this. Just kept on putting towards those stars. Hour after hour just ticked by, and then those stars like changed and like molded with the clouds into like an arrow, into one big star at the apex of the arrow, and just followed straight towards that star. And we did that, just kept on putting along, and this huge big ocean swells and bombies just breaking around all around us, and we didn't really know what to do, but we were just following the stars and just listening to God and praying. I just remember just singing we ended up after like 3 hours just singing real loud. Ryan Maddock and myself were just like, how great is our God, just yelling real loud, and it was getting really crazy. Just like it was super cold. We had 2 wetsuits on. I had a 5mm wetsuit on and then a 2mm wetsuit on, and it was just getting so crazy. You're just wondering what the other boys are up to, whether they knew we were okay or whether they thought we were in trouble.
And then Brendo and Matic were like fully hesitant, and they were all freaking out about launching the boat. They're like, no, you can't do it, you're gonna get bogged. And I was like, far out, man. Just jump in the back of the boat. So then I just reversed down real fast and popped it off, and it just launched straight in. And then sure enough, they're off, they're out of there.
But we kept on going. We followed all the way, listening to God and where He was telling us to go. We did that for about half an hour, and then gradually the ocean just went more and more still. The waves went from like 15 foot below our boat to like 10 foot, then to 5 foot, and then to like 2 foot, and then to like 1 or 2 foot ripples just hitting the side of the boat. I was just like, whoa, what's going on here?
And then sure enough, then Bryce like, yeah, I want to take my ski out. Like, he's always keen to do that. And Novi jumped on the back. So, I launched the ski down, just popped it straight off, and they were off. They just smashed it. They were gone, like you couldn't even see them.
And then God just gave me a full-on piece, like, this is where I want you to stay, kind of thing. And just anchored up. We had about 22 meters of rope, and there was about 19 meters the depth, I think. So we anchored, set up the tent. Yeah, we had a tent on the boat. We set up the tent, used all Glenn's Elastoplast tape, got this tent up, put our feet up, and just ate crackers and sauce as the moon rose over the hills. It's such a crazy situation.
We left at like 3 hours and then drove out in the dark when the tide was lower, because otherwise we would have bogged for sure. We rock up and it's dark, don't see anything, and then we see the ski like half like in this weirdest position, and then like Bryce and Novi come running down like hobos or something, just completely like look like they've been there for the last 3 years. They run down to the truck and I'm like, where's Brendo? And they're like, he's not here. And I just started laughing because I thought they were joking. He's like, they're not here. And I was like, no, you're kidding. Because the surf was so big, and like I'd heard some stories the day before of a couple of guys that got lost out there fishing, and that their boat and nothing was found. Like nothing at all was found. Like these guys are professional fishermen, and then there's nothing, not even a boat, no wreckage, nothing. They just disappeared. So here I am thinking this, and then everyone else was panicking, and I just sat down and I started praying for a miracle. And then we started running up and down the beach. We drove everywhere, had our spotties on, flashing, beeping the horn, yelling out, screaming. And like 4 hours later, we're just like, what are we going to do? And then we went up to the ranger, notified him. He rang up all authorities. From Perth, they sent down an infrared plane. They had helicopters down there. They had all these guys in 4Bs just going nuts up and down the beach. It was like 3 in the morning. And so we all went to sleep for like 3 or 4 hours.
We had 8 hours sleep after that and woke up and seen a 4-wheel drive on the headland. We were in a tiny little sheltered bay with about 20 foot of swells smashing the headlands around us.
And then we wake up in the morning, and the first thing we hear, I'm just sitting there thinking, just praying all night. The first thing we hear in the morning, the guys come into the tent and say, we can't find them. They're gone. And they say, we've had the infrared plane out all night, we can't find them.
I flopped off the boat and swam over to this fella who was on the headland, and he said, oh, you're the boys that got lost at sea. Everyone's looking for you. I thought, oh, hectic. He took me over to the car, and after a little while I just heard 2 men missing at sea. Their friends have notified the rescue squads at 5:30 yesterday afternoon. The helicopter's on the way. I was like, whoa. I flopped back in the water, swam over to Ryan, and then started driving towards where we wanted to go. And I seen a helicopter come over. I jumped on the front of the boat and just started giving thumbs up. The helicopter left us. I come around the headland, and there's like 30 people scattered around the beach, and I thought, wow, I just flopped in the water, body surfed in while Ryan manned the boat. I just remember running up to Glenn and just giving him a massive hug. Such an intense night. We were calling on God the whole night, and he was there with us, just guiding us through. The rescue squad actually said to us, "Well done, we thought you were dead." I found out that people were hunting down for photos of our body shapes just to find our bodies. People were expecting that we were shipwrecked and drowned. It was just sick to hang out with the boys after that night. We had a bonfire and we were just chilling. Just seemed like everyone had a really close relationship after that. It's just like people valued our friendship and valued each other, and it was just a crazy experience. The 66 rescue people, the helicopter, and all flew off and drove away, and there we were, chilling in the bottom of Australia. The swell was pumping and we had a boat there. We woke up the next morning, sun was rising, and went 16 k's out to sea. It was like howling sideshore at this one crazy hollow wave. Thinking, wow, might as well just go in, try to find some other ways. We were driving back in, I was down the back of the boat, and I had like a little hood on, and I was right next to the motor, so I couldn't really hear much, and I just seen all the boys just started to jump at the front of the boat, just throw their arms in the air, just turn around, smiling, giving each other high fives, and I was like, what's going on? Like, what's happening? Didn't really know, I couldn't hear anything, and I sensed something really cool and exciting was happening, so I was just like, what's happening? Time went on. About 5 minutes later we turned up right next to this bombing. It was like 15-20 foot barrels. I was just like, wow. It was about as big as a garage, the reef, and it was just massive lines of waves wrapping around this bomby 14 k's out to sea. So I was thinking, this is crazy. This is like miraculous, you know. We didn't expect this. At that point in time, I just remember God was fully hinting and telling me 2 weeks earlier that you were going to get the biggest wave of your life, Brendo. And I just remember thinking like, oh, this is it, you know. This is the day. So I got real pumped. Novi said, I'll drive. Bryce got his camera out. Luke got his camera set up, and we were just thinking, this is it. Jumped in the ocean, and me and Glenn and Ryan just chatted to Jesus about it and just called on him once again. I got my first wave and I got worked. Pence got a cracker, and then Ryan got a cracker, and here we are, K's out to sea in the bottom of Australia, surfing like 15-foot barrels. The wind just turned perfect offshore. This is so crazy, so amazing. I got my second wave and just scooped in and just barreled around me, and I just got spat out in the channel. I just remember Bryce throwing his arms in the air, just yelling, and just Luke was like looking at me, just looked up like stunned. He'd just finished changing rolls, but that was all good. Just kept paddling out, and I thought, wow, was that wave that God was telling me about? And I don't know whether it was, but the next wave I paddled out and just paddled in, just so pumped, sick, free fell, and just remember scraping the reef a little bit and popped up, and my face felt really funny. I don't know what was happening. I went to like feel around with my tongue, and my tongue like popped out the side of my face, like there, and then my lip was hanging off, I realised, and then I kind of thought, wow, and then a big wedge came right up behind the reef and like wedged up, and I kind of got a lot of buoyancy, and I lifted myself up and just like threw my arm in the air once, and the boys just saw me straight away, came right round the reef, picked me up, and I just flopped onto the boat, and they just started wrapping me up, and like I was like so pumped, so stoked, so content. I was just like praying and saying to Jesus, like, I pray this, you know, this goes for you, Lord, and like I just pray that you do your will in this, and all sorts of stuff. And I was just praying heaps, but all the boys, I felt like they were really moved by the situation, and I was so pumped because I knew Jesus told me 2 weeks earlier that I was going to get the biggest wave in my life. Me and Glenn were actually praying about it at church. It's just awesome how he supplied that bomby in the middle of nowhere for us to do that at. Anyways, I went to hospital and I got 63 stitches in my arm and my face, and my friends lovely Christian family come and pick me up and just chilled and cared for me and took me to church the next day. And I ended up just getting up the front in church the next day and talking to like hundreds of people about this situation. It's just 4 days, you know, it's fully life moving stuff. But I just loved every minute of it and knew I was just safe in God's arms the whole time.
I was looking at all the life. There were plants and birds and rocks and things. There was sand and hills and rain. The first thing I met was a fly with a buzz and the sky with no clouds. The heat was hot and the ground was dry, but the air was full of sound. I've been through the desert on a horse with no name. It felt good to be out of the rain. In the desert, you can remember your name, 'cause there ain't no one for to give you no pain. La 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 my skin began to turn red. After 3 days in the desert fun, I was looking at a riverbed, and the story it told of a river that flowed made me sad to think it was dead. You see, I've been through the desert on a horse with no name. It felt good to be out of the rain. In the desert, you can't remember your name, 'cause there ain't no one for to give you no pain. La 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 had turned to sea. There were plants and birds and rocks and things. There was sand and hills and rings. The ocean is a desert with its life underground and a perfect disguise above. Under the cities lies a heart made of ground, but the humans will give no love. You see, I've been through the desert on a horse with no name. It felt good to be out of the rain. In the desert, you can't remember your name, 'cause there ain't no one for to give you no pain. La 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 la
remember one particular arvo on the road. The surf was pumping and I was just chilling on the rocks, and it was just like, it was pretty cool. I was just watching Glenn, like wave after wave after wave, just ripping it up, like smooth carve, big forward, sick barrel, like wave after wave after wave. I was just like, this is sick. I just got so pumped up. I just started blowing up this this little surf mat, and I was thinking, this is sick. I could flop in the water on a surf mat and get a barrel, you know. And because I had stitches like all through there, I could lean on the board, and it wasn't so like hard. And I was on this like, so I was on this sponge and I was paddling out, just like, and I turned around just quickly, and this sick barrel came through and I just flopped into it. It was like boof. And I was so pumped, like, I don't know why. I mean, I do know why. It was just a sick arvo.
There's a few really memorable sessions from the whole trip. One of them was definitely when me and Novi were out by ourselves, and the surf was 6 foot, going nuts. Like, you'd paddle out and you wouldn't be thinking of the shark infested waters. You'd be thinking, there is a 6 foot gaping hollow tube staring me down. I have to get in it. And Brendo would come out in the surfer plane. He was shooting a few fisheye shots, and it was just us going wave for wave, like perfect. Novi would take off, get a sick barrel, come out and do a massive roll, and then I'd paddle out back as quick as I could. The sun was going down, and we're just thinking, this is real hectic. Like, we've heard the stories of all the shark attacks and all the hype around the area, and we're just like, what are we doing? But the waves are so good we couldn't leave, so we just stayed out till pretty much pitch black, and then ended up just going home feeling so content, ready for another icy morning and a new day.
Now
Okay, so this is the scene. We'd been traveling for about 2.5 months. We'd just returned home and we thought, cool, let's go to South Oz. Keep in mind that we'd just been searching for waves and trying to get enough footage to make a DVD, trying to shoot photos to try to put in magazines that we'd already had a commitment of pages. And all these things are happening and we're just trying to get enough footage and all sorts of things are going on, and we headed to South Oz, pumping 6-foot waves in the water all day, and then when we come back, sparked up a fire. This fire was in the middle of this roadhouse that was on a highway in the middle of nowhere. We stayed in there for $1 a night each. We met this awesome friend, and just this campfire burnt day after day after day after day after day, and we'd turn up after every day. Just such a crazy awesome day, just chilling in God's creation and just thinking like, what a massive reward, you know, like 2.5 months of absolutely drilling ourselves around the coast, just trying to do all this stuff, get all this footage and photos, and then God just goes, boom, here you go, here's a whole week in pumping 6-foot waves. Sweet boys, enjoy.
Can you feel a little love? As your bony fingers close around me, long and spindly death becomes me. Heaven, can you see what I see? Hey, you pale and sickly child, you're deaf and living reconciled, been walking home a crooked mile, paying debt to karma, your body for a living. What you take won't kill you, but careful what you're giving. There's no time for hesitating. Pain is ready, pain is waiting. Prime to do its educating. I'm wanted, uninvited kin. It creeps beneath your crawling skin. It lives without, it lives within you. Feel the fever coming, you're shaking and twitching. You can scratch all over, but that won't stop you itching. Can you feel a little love? Can you feel a little love? Dream on, dream on. Blame it on your karmic curse, or shame upon the universe. It knows its lines, it's well rehearsed. It sucked you in, it dragged you down to where there is no hallowed ground, where holiness is never found. Paying debt to karma, your body for a living. What you take won't kill you, but careful what you're giving. Can you feel a little love? Can you feel a little love? Dream on, dream on. Can you feel a little love?
through this time, it was like we got to experience a whole bunch of things, you know, spearfishing and boating, jet skiing, surfing, just traveling and sort of going bush, living off sort of necessities and all sorts of sort of really different things. It was just like a full-on experience from all different angles, and we got to do a lot of forward driving, which was really fun. Like, I absolutely love it now.
It was a pretty good experience to be able to take the forward drives out. There was no place that was inaccessible. Everything that was harder was just more of a passion to get in there. Nothing could stop us going to where we wanted to do. Like, we'd drive along beaches like kilometres long, and that we just think, how are we going to get out of this? And we'd find a way. There's always a way. We had the dog and we had the groper, and combined they were an unstoppable force, and nothing could prevent us from accessing all the coastline. And the desert was a great place for it. Fanging across dunes, doing like almost launching and getting there, just driving over mountains and finding new ways, and it was crazy.
We were just chilling in the desert, and some days we'd just like, me and Pence would just get all amped and we'd just like start going nuts around the sand dunes and just doing big airs and like just locking the wheels on and trying to get through like big ditches, or trying to like go flat out through all these different tracks and over all these hectic hills and dunes and stuff, and it's just fun, like heaps of fun. It's kind of funny looking back at the road project. 6 dudes just on a mission to go do all these crazy things and do this project, and it's just interesting looking back on it all. God had a plan. He knew how it would happen. He knew how it would unfold, and it's just interesting. Whenever times got real tough, he'd just throw like another thing at us and say, "Can you handle this one, boys?" And then when it got real tough, he'd throw another person into the situation. He'd throw a mechanic. He'd throw some friendly person that wants to help us. He'd throw a house to stay at. He'd get a pumping session for us. He'd just throw all these things at us all the time, and we're just like running through all this project thinking, this is crazy, what's going on? Then the next thing happens, we'll meet another person who wants to give us a lift somewhere, who wants to give us a sell us a boat, or someone who wants to fix our car, or give us somewhere to stay, or pick us up from hospital, or just all these people we end up meeting and hanging out with, and it's just all fitted together just perfect, and it just worked out all for the good, It's a big hectic time in our lives, but it's just funny how God had a plan the whole time.
from a man with a gun. Don't stop cause you are on the run, and you're on the run from a man with a gun. Don't stop cause you are on the run, and you're on the run from a man with a gun. Don't stop cause you are on the run, and you're on the run from a man with a gun. Don't stop! Don't stop! Don't stop! 'Cause you are on the run. Don't stop! Don't stop! Don't stop! 'Cause you are on the run.
During the road, we had situations where we'd just be travelling coast and we'd sort of have an idea of where we're going, what waves are on the next headland and what states got what sort of setups. But then there's situations when we're just travelling like raw coast, forward driving, just jet skiing and boating all over the place and just searching for waves, and we stumbled upon waves every now and then, and all the boys would just get so pumped. Sick. It's like sick how God supplied every time we sort of needed a session to get footage or photos, and we needed a session just to pump the boys, and ended up finding like three of the best waves I've ever could imagine. So yeah, that was pretty cool.
Is a balloon, shoots up through the stony ground. There's no room, no space to rent in this town. You're out of luck, and the reason that you had to care, the traffic is stuck, and you're not moving anywhere. You thought you'd found a friend, take you out of this place, someone you can lend a hand in return for grace. It's a beautiful day, sky falls, you feel like it's a beautiful day, to let it get away. You're on the road, but you got no destination. In the mind
Kingdom come, your will be done. You said, if I believe in the sun, live in the road of freedom, oh, live in the road of life. It's a road not taken yet, but as I see it, it's a road of life. It's a road not taken yet, but as I see it, it's a road of life. I just wanna serve my King, oh, I just wanna see His name on high for the road He's given me, and I will go. It's a road not taken yet, but as I see it, it's a road of life. It's a road not taken yet, as I see it, it's a road of life. It's a road not taken yet, but as I see it, it's a road of life. The road not taken yet, but as I see it, it's a road of life. Two men walking up a hill. One turns, the other is gone. He says, where'd my friend go? Where'd they all go? I'll tell you the truth right now, oh, they've all gone home. They've all gone home. It's a road not taken yet, but as I see it, it's a road of life. It's a road not taken yet, as I see it, it's a road of life. A kingdom come, your will be done. You said, if I believe in the sun, live in the road of freedom, oh, live in the road of life.